My name is Stephanie, and I'm going to be guiding you through a 30-minute restorative practice. And this is my go-to practice whenever I need to slow down before I wind down for the night, before I go to sleep. So it's not a super long practice if you don't have the time, but you want to fit something in. This is a nice go-to practice for you as well. And it doesn't require a ton of props or a huge setup. So if you have a bolster or a thick, long pillow, have that close, have that handy, as well as two blocks and a couple blankets. You can choose, definitely have two blankets, but if you tend to get cold and you want a little covering for your body, maybe have an additional blanket as well. And I'll show you the first setup, which is going to serve as our setup for the entire practice today. So, using your blocks, we'll begin by creating a T shape with the blocks towards one side of your mat. And I'm going to hold the blocks up so you can see them. Got a lot of blue in here. So this is your T shape. You're going to take that and place it towards one end. So the block that's closest to you is flat with the long edges of the block parallel to the long edges of your mat. The second block is right in front of that and they're touching. This block is on the second height, so it's a little bit higher than your first block with the short edges parallel to the long side of your mat. So if you gaze at your blocks, you would see the letter T. And then you're going to grab your bolster or maybe a few sturdy pillows and place them over the blocks, creating what I like to call a bolster ramp. So when you press, it's not going to go anywhere. It feels supportive and solid. And then reach for your blankets. So you might have yoga blankets, you might just have blankets or towels from your closet. Either will work. And what I want you to do is go ahead and roll your blankets. So find one edge and begin to create a nice tight roll. And you might have to fold your blanket a few times to kind of see what would serve your body. So you want the roll, if you look at it, look at the corner, would be about 4 to 6 inches thick. And you're going to do that with both of your blankets. So taking the time to properly set up here is going to really prepare us for where we're going. That way, when you get into the shape, when you set yourself up, you don't have to change much, you don't have to move, you can just completely relax. Okay, so once you have your rolls, set those to the side, and I'm going to show you how we'll come into this. I've got some essential oil here too, because I always like to add some before I practice. And if you have something that you like that helps you relax, it's often a nice addition to your yoga practice. So to come into our first shape, you're going to turn so that you're facing your bolster ramp. Scoot your hips about 3 to 4 inches in front of the bolster. So you're not coming all the way to the edge. You're a little bit further back. And then blankets are close, that way you can reach them. Lower onto your back. As you come down onto your back, have one foot on either side of the bolster. Lift your hips, lengthen the tailbone, and then reset. Lower the hips back down. Again, if you're cold, have that other blanket close by so you can cover your chest. For this position, we're going to place the feet on the bolster. Open the knees wide and let the feet touch. So it's Baddha Konasana, but with the legs elevated slightly. Now your blankets that you folded are a really nice addition here. I like to tuck them right where my hip and my thigh meet. So you just kind of use that to support yourself, placing the roll blanket on either side. And if this is still too intense, maybe for your body, you'll choose to lower the bolster a little bit. You can remove one of your blocks, or you can remove the blocks completely. But if this feels okay for you, start to settle in, rest your hands either by your sides with the palms facing up, or you can also place your hands on your belly. Closing the eyes. So because our practice is a shorter restorative practice, We won't be holding the shapes quite as long. And we're going to maintain this setup with our bolster and blocks throughout. And there's a little hint of kind of like legs up the wall here. So it feels a little bit like that, just not as intense. Where we start to elevate the legs slightly to help them relax and release. As you close your eyes, soften your forehead. Release any tension around your eyes. And allow the tongue to be free inside of the mouth, not touching the top or pressing into the back of the teeth. Soften the lips. Relax your jaw. Feel the weight of your head, heavy, released. And so oftentimes, when we come into a pose that's still, when we enter into our restorative practice, we're coming from a busy day. We've been doing stuff, we've been on the go, checking things off the to-do list. So very likely, some of that might still be lingering. And we don't want to force anything away or try to immediately change things. That just creates more resistance. Instead, notice what's inside. Notice what's there. And if you find that there's quite a bit of movement in the mind, let your awareness shift to your breath. Sometimes I really enjoy placing the hands on the belly because it gives me something to tune into. I can literally feel the belly rise and fall. And you don't have to change the breath here. Allow it to move in and out, nice and easy. Soften your shoulders. Notice if your legs can become just a little bit heavier, releasing the inner thighs and groin. Last few moments here. If your eyes are closed, slowly blink them open and bring your hands to the outer edges of your thighs. Using your hands to assist, close your legs like you were closing a book. Walk the heels closer to the buttocks and gently draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little rock from side to side, massaging the sacrum, the low back. And allow your knees to return to center. Place your feet onto the bolster ramp. Use your hands to take your blankets and shift them off to the side. So we'll come back to the blankets in a little bit, but for now, we're just gonna move them out of the way. Just using the arms, trying not to shift too much in the rest of the body. And then place your right foot onto the floor next to the bolster. Gently and easily scoot your hips and your shoulders a few inches to the right. So it should feel like you're not centered with your bolster. You're slightly to the right of it. Now from here, extend your right leg forward. Relax and soften the foot. Extend your left leg up the bolster ramp. Relax and soften your foot. If it feels like the foot's going to slide off the bolster, just move it a little more to the right. Take a moment here to make sure your hips feel neutral. One is going to be a little higher, the left hip, than the right. That's okay, but make sure the right hip isn't too far forward from the left. Arms again can rest on the belly, or perhaps you release them by your side. You may close your eyes. And sometimes I'll add an eye bag or a pillow or a towel to cover the eyes. And again, we're not holding these poses quite as long, but give yourself an opportunity every time we change positions to settle in again. Relaxing through the face, the neck, the shoulders, and feeling the weight of your hips as well as your legs. Nice and gently begin to rebend your right leg. Place the foot onto the floor. Rebend your left leg and place the foot onto the bolster. We're going to switch sides. So scoot your hips through center. Place your left foot onto the floor. Right foot on the bolster. Scoot your shoulders to the left as well. So now you're slightly to the left of your bolster. Keep the shoulder blades underneath you, the low back wide. On an inhale, straighten your left leg forward. Relax the foot. So the left leg is long on the mat. And then do the same thing with your right leg, but straighten it up the bolster. Again, if it feels like it's going to slide, scoot it a little more to the left side. And adjust your hips as you need here. Noticing if one hip feels hiked up more than the other. See if you can level that out, placing the hands in whatever position gives you the most ease. If having your head on the floor without support is too much on the neck, please know that you can always use an additional pillow or a blanket under your head for support. Closing the eyes, letting the body rest. And again, not needing to adjust or change the breath, but letting the breath breathe you and observing that soft, natural rhythm. We don't have to try to breathe. Luckily, it just comes on its own. So enjoy that here. Imagine the breath like a warm breeze over the body. Very slowly, rebend your left knee. Place the foot onto the mat. Rebend your right knee. Place the foot onto the bolster. Scoot your hips through center as well as your shoulders. So realign with your bolster. Place both feet onto the bolster. Your knees will be bent here. Take a moment to just kind of lift your hips, lengthen your tailbone, and then set the hips back down. From here, pick up your right leg and cross it over your left. So imagine that you're sitting in a chair and you're crossing your legs. Now you're going to keep the cross of your legs and take your feet to either side of the bolster. So in other words, your right foot is going to hang off of the left side of the bolster, and your left foot is going to hang off of the right side. If this feels too intense to let the legs hang, keep your left foot on the bolster and just keep your legs crossed. And then notice, do you need to scoot a little bit closer to the bolster? Would that support your low back a bit more? Feel free to adjust and take any variation or any little shifts that you need so that you can ease into this. For my body, it feels a bit better to move closer. And then as you start to drop in, relax your eyes, soften your mouth. If it feels like your hips and your pelvis is tipping to the left, maybe grab one of your blankets and then place it right on top of your hips. So adding a little extra weight over the pelvis. Soften any clenching in your inner thighs. Let your feet and toes feel relaxed. If you have a blanket over your hips, it can stay exactly as it is. Draw the low belly in ever so slightly to support your back, and then let your knees come towards you until you can set your left foot onto the bolster. Uncross the right leg, place both feet onto your ramp, pause, and then we'll switch sides. Cross your left thigh over your right completely. Let the left foot feel relaxed. And you may stay here. This feels better in your body. Or you're going to bring your feet to the edges of the bolster and let them drop towards the floor. This time, your right foot is on the outside, the left side of the bolster, and your left foot is on the right side. Feel free to shift your hips, allowing yourself to find the shape for you. Nice and easy. Let your belly pull towards your spine, knees towards the chest. Set your right foot onto the bolster again. Uncross your left leg. Bring the feet about hip distance apart. Adjust the hips if need be. And then if you're using a blanket over your hips, shift that to the side for now. Keep your feet on top of the bolster. Scoot your hips an inch or so to the left. Open your arms into a T shape. Inhale. Exhale, gently allow both of your knees to fall to the right. Your feet can come off of the bolster, stacking the legs. Nice, easy transition. Feel your left shoulder become a little heavier. On an inhale, firm the belly. Bring your feet back up to the bolster. And then nice and slowly scoot your hips through center and then slightly to the right so you're a bit crooked. Inhale, exhale, knees fall to the left. And your feet and legs will stack. You can always support this by placing one of your blankets between your knees. If it feels like the top leg is hovering, heavier right shoulder. The next time you inhale, firm your belly, bring your knees through center. Beautiful. Adjust your hips so that once again, you're in line with your bolster. You might have to scoot your shoulder blades a little bit as well. Scoot so that your bottom is just about an inch away from the bolster. It might already be there, or you might have gotten a little shifted as we moved. And then you're going to extend your right leg long as well as your left leg. So both legs extending up the bolster. Feet will turn open. Now, for some of us, it just depends on the bolster or pillow you're working with. If it's really hard to keep the legs straight and they keep sliding, what you can do as an option is place a strap around your shins and have that strap about hip distance. So that way, if the legs start to slide to the side, the strap prevents them from falling. If it feels okay and the legs feel pretty stable here, you don't necessarily need a strap, but it's an option you can always take. And then maybe once again, you grab your blanket and place it over your hips for a little extra weight. I always really enjoy this. This is going to be how we end our practice today. So Shavasana, but with the legs elevated. And I know for me, I like to really get cozy. So you're welcome to add an extra blanket to cover yourself if you tend to get cold. Relax your arms instead of on your body. Let them be by your sides, palms facing up and slightly out to the side so that your armpits feel spacious. Snuggle the shoulder blades a little bit underneath your body and rest the back of the head. As you close the eyes, the face settles. Feel as if your eyes could sink back a little heavier. Your mouth and jaw soften. And that gentle breeze of the breath wash over the entire body, letting anything that's still lingering, anything that you'd like to release in this moment, offering it into the support beneath you, allowing it to move into the earth to be transformed. Feeling a sense of grounded energy, but at the same time, lightness through the front of the body. Giving yourself these final few minutes of your practice to fully and completely let go. You're welcome to stay here as long as you need, giving yourself as much time in Shavasana as you'd like. If you feel ready to come back, keep the eyes closed. Begin to deepen your breath. Slowly start to wiggle your fingers, your toes. Maybe rock the head side to side. And when you feel ready, begin to re-bend your knees, placing your feet onto the bolster. And then pause. Don't worry about your blankets. They'll come with you. Take an inhale. And on an exhale, gently roll to your right side. Pausing in the fetal position. Maybe using your bottom hand as a little pillow. And then so slowly press the left hand into the earth. Allow your head to rise last. So the chin draws in. We push into the arms. Bring the body up and then stack the head on top of the neck. Keep the eyes closed. Find a seat that's comfortable to you. Resting the hands on the thighs, shoulders draw back, crown of the head lifts. Take a moment here as you come upright. We spent quite a bit of time on our back with the legs elevated. So giving the body an opportunity to adjust, to reacclimate. And then notice if there's any shift in your energy, how you feel physically, mentally, emotionally. This is such a beautiful way to really nurture the body, to take care of you. So acknowledge that. Give yourself credit for showing up and for doing the work. Allow your hands to join in front of your heart, Sealing your palms in Anjali Mudra, offering up gratitude, we'll close with a final breath. Inhale as you fill the lungs. On your exhale, bow to your heart. Namaste.